Ladies and gentlemen, now thanks to the hard work of MCOC Journal and legendary data miner Otriux, today we're going to be doing a full abilities breakdown of one of the data mine champions for August 2019. So we've got a brand new X-Men event coming and we have a new mutant as well, and that mutant is Sunspot. So if you don't know about Sunspot, and I didn't really know much until this morning when I saw this new champion pop up, is basically the Human Torch of the X-Men, and his abilities seem insanely cool. He seems really fun to play. He seems very different to any other champion that we have in the game currently, and I'm really excited about Sunspot, man. I think out of the two, like, Warlock looks really solid. He's the other new champion, and we've done a breakdown video on him, but Sunspot seems very unique, very different, and I think has some really good damage output potential and some great utility for certain matchups as well. So yeah, let's break down some of the core stuff. But before we do that, again, one massive shout out to MCOC Journal and Otriux, because without their hard work and dedication to doing all of this stuff, man, we wouldn't have these amazing breakdown videos and this amazing information. So yeah, if you want to show them a little bit of appreciation, links to their social media will be in the description, and also the pinned comment as well. So if you want to send them a little bit of love, I encourage you to do that. But anyway, let's talk about Sunspot's abilities and get into the core of this champion. So there are two kind of main mechanics when it comes to Sunspot. You've got solar charges and flare state. Now, solar charges, he starts with 80 of these, but if you have him awakened and at a very high sig level as well, this can actually go up to 120. Now, Sunspot is immune to all incinerate effects, and whenever Sunspot would be incinerated, he instead generates 5 solar charges. So this is going to be really good for the I assume the Mephisto and also Human Torch matchups for this champion. He's always going to start a fight with his maximum solar charges, again between 80 and 120 depending on whether he's awakened and what signature level he is, and one charge is going to passively expire every 3 seconds, so they do have a way to decay passively. Now, he has his flare state, so Sunspot, as long as he has solar charges, he's going to be in a flare state, and you can actually get multiple flare states by using the special one. You can stack them up and expend them via the special 2. However, if he's under the effect of shock or when running out of solar charges, flare state is disabled and all stacks are removed. Now, whenever Sunspot's attacks make contact with the opponent, he expends 1 solar charge per hit for each stack of flare state. So depending on the amount of stacks of flare state you have, he's going to expend like 2 to 3 per hit, corresponding to the amount of flare state that he has and that you've ramped up via the special 1, and each charge that you expend will increase the damage of that hit by approximately, I think it's going to be about 50% of his base attack there. However, when also striking the opponent, you're going to inflict a very small incinerate for each solar charge expended, which is going to deal approximately 10% of your base attack as energy damage for 5 seconds. So it's a very weak, very short incinerate there. However, it does have some very interesting functionality, and the fact that it expends on every single hit on the opponent, and you can have multiple of these as well, I think it's going to make it a fairly interesting one. Some really good synergy with the Despair Mastery as well. However, there's a really interesting thing that you might be able to do with the incinerates that we're going to talk about in a second. So incinerates remove perfect block chance and lower the opponent's block proficiency by 50%. If a strike fails to apply an incinerate or on the opponent due to the chance, or whenever any incinerate is purified, gain 10% of a bar of power and 1 solar charge. So 10% of a bar of power, that's a lot of power gain in certain matchups like you know, the obvious skill ones like Kingpin, Agent Venom, maybe champions like Korg as well, champions that have a chance to purify, shrug stuff off. You're going to gain a lot of power there, and I assume that's going to top up your solar charges quite nicely as well. However, as Sunspot gains power, the potency of any power gained by incinerates is reduced by up to 57%. So as you go up in power, this is a little bit less effective, but still it's going to be quite good, especially if you're spamming like a lot of incinerates, and they're purifying quite rapidly as well. So yeah, I think that's got some very interesting potential to top your power up quite quickly, and also maintain and keep up your solar charges as well. Also, now this is a really cool piece of utility. On well-timed blocks, for as long as Sunspot's opponent is incinerated, well-timed blocks grant 100% perfect block chance for the duration of his opponent's combo or special attack. So yeah, that seems you know, really useful, especially in content like Act 6. You've got so many opponents that deal a lot of block damage, so to be able to like perfectly mitigate that fairly reliably by the look of it as well seems like a massive piece of utility. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. That seems really good. However, when Sunspot performs perfect block, he purifies 1 incinerate debuff on his opponent, but considering you're going to be spamming them, I don't think it's going to be, you know, the worst thing in the world to lose there. However, as well, while charging heavy attacks, Sunspot purifies 1 incinerate debuff on his opponent every 0.18 seconds. So every second you're gonna purify like up to 5 incinerate debuffs, I assume. Now you might be thinking like, why do I want to purify my incinerate debuffs on the opponent? Surely that's going to help them out a little bit. But then we go back to the incinerate text here. If a strike fails to apply an incinerate on the opponent due to chance, or whenever any incinerate is purified, gain 10% of a bar of power and 1 solar charge. So this is a way, I assume, weaving in heavy attacks, that you can gain power by absorbing those incinerates back, and also gain back your solar charge as well. So that seems really cool, man. I think there's some very interesting potential with that one, and I'm curious to see how that's going to work, because this kind of opens up a very unique play style that you don't really have with any other champion, where you're kind of like putting, you know, debuffs on the opponent and then kind of siphoning them back for like power and solar charges. So yeah, that seems pretty cool, man. I'm really interested to see how that one kind of interacts. Then to cover the special attack, so the special one is a way to generate an additional stack of flare state, so it can increase your damage output on hits and also apply additional incinerates, and also incinerates inflicted during this special attack last 9 seconds longer as well. So that seems quite fun. Hopefully that's a lot of hits there. And then the special 2, we've got ultraviolet radiation. So the final hit will expend up to 15 solar charges. So I don't know if that's going to apply like 15 stacks of incinerate. I don't know if it's going to like work that way to deal like a massive amount of additional damage. But also for each stack of flare state, Sunspot gains a prowess effect, increasing the damage dealt by this special attack by 200%. So I think for shorter bursty fights, it might be like use a special 1 a couple of times and then special 2 for kind of a like really big finish there, because there might be some mad damage with the way that like expending charges interacts with stuff like incinerate and also the additional attack. So yeah, special 2's got a little bit of interesting potential there. However, the special 3 allows him to recover his maximum solar charges, so you go straight up to max, and also for every 20 solar charges you recover, you inflict 1 incinerate debuff, which deals 100% energy damage over 12 seconds. So if you've got him awakened, that's like 600% of your attack as energy damage. Seems pretty good, man. It seems pretty good. Plus you get all of your solar charges back. That's going to be pretty mad damage output wise, I would assume. So yeah, I think all of the special attacks, they seem you know, really good. Like they've got their functionality damage wise, but Sunspot, for the most part, he does seem like a balls to the walls incinerate champion, which does have me very excited, because there aren't like that many characters which are immune to incinerate, and I think he's got a lot of interesting matchups and interactions. And again, the awakened ability just allows him to increase his maximum number of solar charges by 40 there. So yeah, that could be pretty cool. Again, very useful with the interaction of the special 3 and also kind of his base solar charge mechanic, but it doesn't look like he needs his awakened ability to be a good champion. It looks like that's just going to add like a whole nother level to him in terms of damage output. So I think the awakened ability is going to be nice to have, but not absolutely essential. And then we've also got some very interesting and unique champion synergies. So the first one is new mutants with both Cable and Warlock. So ability accuracy on mutant champions, all of them, is increased by 30% during special attacks, but this increases up to 60% based on Sunspot's signature level. So yeah, I don't know how useful this is going to be. I imagine like for certain characters like Storm that have like a chance to stun on special too, this could almost guarantee it. For maybe Cable, like if you could tie it like pushing certain power thresholds, it might be able to increase the chance to gain like a power gain or a stun. So yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting potential when it comes to this one, man. I need to think about this one and explore it a little bit more, but that does apply to all mutant champions there. So that one's very interesting. If you think of like any mutant champion that could really benefit from that, man, let me know in the comment section below. And this also like new thing of like the synergy increases based on the character's signature level. That's a bit of an interesting one as well. I'm not really too sure how I feel about that yet, but it is a really nice bonus. So we'll see how that one works out. Now the next one is AIM technology with Red Hulk and MODOK. Science champions increases the duration and ability accuracy of any exhaustion, fatigue, heal block, petrify, slow, and weakness debuffs by 10%, increased to up to 40% based on Sunspot's signature level. So yeah, this seems insane for champions like Spider-Gwen, Luke Cage, She-Hulk as well, with all their slow, exhaustion, and also petrify mechanics. So I'm very curious to see how this interacts with certain champions, because this one seems really good, and hopefully this is going to be a solid like 40% increase instead of like 40% of 10%, so 14% overall. But I'm interested to see how this one functions, man. I'm a little bit curious about this one. And then we've got leading Avengers. This one is Avengers and new Avengers when fighting villain champions. Reduce the potency of any power sting and damage over time effects by 10%, increased to up to 40% based on Sunspot's signature level. So that doesn't seem, you know, that useful, but it might be alright in the occasional matchup. And then we've got a crit one with Mephisto and Hela, so it gives additional crit rating, but this can be increased to up to 325 based on Sunspot's signature level there, so really nice scaling. Again, this could be an incredibly powerful crit node, man, because this is like 2 or 3 crit nodes rolled into one if you do have like a max sig level Sunspot, so this does seem, you know, a little bit curious. And then we have like a similar armor one with like Magic, Beast, Cyclops, and Colossus. So yeah, this might be, I don't know, alright for Colossus after his buff, but nothing like super special there. But overall, I think Sunspot looks really awesome. This is kind of like the mechanics and stuff that I wanted to see for Human Torch, because Sunspot just looks like a balls to the walls incinerate champion that is really going to lay into the opponent and just be able to deal some massive damage once you have a few flare states active. But I've got some you know, very high hopes for Sunspot. I think he looks absolutely phenomenal. So I think my estimations would be that he's coming in at the high demigod or god tier. I don't really see anything like utility-wise that would bring him to the beyond god tier, but maybe if the damage is there as well, he might have some beyond god tier potential. But yeah, I'm very curious to play around with Sunspot, man, because there's a lot of questions in terms of like how this champion is practically going to work and how you play him in certain matchups, because he seems a little bit different, a little bit quirky. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think of Sunspot in the comment section below, and if you did enjoy today's video breakdown of Sunspot, please do smash that like button. Aside from that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.